Yeah, dude. So do you want to segue into talking about this Destiny Candace Owens discussion? This was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's talk about Deep State Diddy.
Yeah, that's the first timestamp I want to react to. There's a couple other ones, one involving Epstein that a lot of people are roasting Destiny for. But yeah, let's take a look here because you were mentioning this Diddy stuff to me the other day, but I was kind of like confused. I was like, what are you talking about? All this crazy blackmail and this Epstein, like, what's going on here? Candace Owens, she's on the case. She knows all about this. And through watching this debate the other day, I was educated on the subject matter. So I'm interested on your opinion regarding her take, if you agree with her, if you think she's getting too conspiratorial, or if you actually think she's, kind of onto something despite being the right wing ghoul that she is otherwise. I'm interested in your opinion. And then there's a couple other timestamps as well. But I was not impressed with Destiny's performance in this debate. He did decent at a few points. Like he had a couple good comebacks and stuff like that. But I'm used to Destiny dominating debates. And to be honest, I think Candace kind of dog walked him here. Like she kind of just steamrolled over him. She kind of made him look stupid at a few points. And I just don't think he was prepared for it, honestly. So this was interesting to watch. I'm used to Destiny doing better. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in your opinion on the substance here, Zach. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah, let's play this shit.
Are off, so it ends, and then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims, and in the lawsuit he actually
okay, let's go back a few seconds. Sorry, I might have started this a little bit too late.
In case you guys have not seen it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it, and if you're there, definitely subscribe. But so essentially, at the end of last year, Diddy was dating that girl Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexual.
Let Candace cook.
I would say.
Okay.
And forced her to do a lot of things against her will, or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but he pays her off. So it ends. And then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024. And then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have, hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims. And in the lawsuit, he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit. It can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests, allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits Lucian Grange, who is the CEO of Universal Music Group. And this was, for me, one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and just shot them in like the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens, and that guy's name is like Fahim something, and he will come clean it up.
That's the guy that pause it.
Police report, and he shows like how the
let's see. Diddy. Let me find this guy's name because I don't want to say the wrong name.
He's the guy that was there when Michael Jackson died, though.
Yes,
correct?
Head of security for Michael Jackson, head of security for Diddy. It says that he graduated. I can't find his fucking last name, guys. I'm so sorry. I don't want to call him the right guy, but the wrong guy. But basically, what happened was he has a total spook background story, right? He has a total spook background story. So in 2008 or 2007, 2008. It says that he graduates from like the University of Sacramento with like a business administration degree. He's like 22 years old. And then the next year, he's the head of security for the world's largest pop star, the king of pop, fucking Michael Jackson. He's there when Michael Jackson dies. And then he becomes the head of security for Diddy. He owns like 100 acres of fucking land right on the U.S.-Mexico border. So much sketchy shit's coming out with this guy. But yeah, what she's about to get into is the drive-by incident where he's the real life wolf. That's right, Dad. This is the Harvey Keitel wolf character IRL. Let's see. Let me find out what this guy's name is because it's driving me crazy and I can't think of anything else. But then you also had the Meek Mill stuff come out. No, what the fuck? why is this so? This is also making me angry because it's like, dude, I had so many articles about this that were so easy to find, and now it's like, oh yeah, none of this shit is popping up. So angry about that. Somebody in chat, please do me like a tremendous solid of finding out what the fuck this guy's name is, because when I Google Diddy head of security Fahim, nothing comes up, which makes me fucking angry.
Yeah, I can't find it either because it's also on the tip of my tongue. We were just talking.
Fahim Muhammad is his name. Fucking A. But that's crazy that they fucking squat. Like, anyway, so So anyway, this guy Fahim Muhammad, you can look up his Wikipedia page. I believe he has one. Let me go ahead and oh, I'm sorry. Let me phrase this with I haven't been studying this for 20 years, and I am going to pull up a Wikipedia article. Oh gosh. Okay, actually, let's rely on this man's own LinkedIn. Let's look at this guy's LinkedIn really quick, because you guys are not going to believe how shady this shit all looks. It's real. So let's go back to his education. Yeah, Sacramento State College of Business Administration, right? 2007 is when he graduated from there. And then by the next year, he was head of fucking security for Michael Jackson. So it's just so many layers of all this stuff. And basically what people are arguing is that after Biggie Smalls died, right? The people are saying that Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, put out a hit. This is allegedly, right? This is conspiracy theory, but there's a lot of evidence that makes this compelling, right? Clearly something bigger was going on. Tupac, passes away, right? No investigation. We never find out who any of the killers are for these two titans of fucking industry, okay? Right? The big up-and-comers of the 90s, the gangster rap movement. So then you have Diddy, Puff Daddy, who was at that time like junior mafia connected to Biggie Smalls. That's how he had risen to fame. And as a 24-year-old, he gets staked by this billionaire to start Bad Boy Records. Let's see. I want to get the billionaire's name right. It was founded by Diddy, and he got it says P Diddy on the thing, but there was a bit, like, I don't want to sound crazy, but like there was an Israeli billionaire that fucking helped him finance it. Okay, and I want to find that gentleman's name so I don't just sound like I'm like spouting it off. But if you go to Bad Boy Records, there's no mention of that guy. But anyway, that you can find out. That's how he got bankrolled for Bad Boy Records. Then he basically, people assume through a web of always having every room in his house, under surveillance, right? He was able to acquire blackmail on individuals. He would get them to engage in homosexual sex acts and then film that and then use that as leverage against them, because, especially in the 90s, but even up until this point today, hip hop has been incredibly homophobic. It was incredibly damaging to your career as a rapper if you're seen as, like soft or, homosexual. Like, you remember when homosexual, like I'm a fucking old man from the 70s, but like fucking gay guys. Like, you remember when Migos was talking all that shit back in the day on like I Love McConan, and then everybody was like, oh, this is awkward. Yeah, so that was all going on in the background, and that's why you have guys like Meek Mill, and a lot of people expect Usher was one of the other unnamed individuals in this suit, and that's why Meek Mill came out and was like, I love fucking pussy. Sometimes all you guys is favorites and all that shit. Sometimes more than one, etc. So this is a lot of information that I'm spitting at you guys. But anyway, this is the background information that you need to have. And yes, you can Google all of this shit. And yes, it is 100% true. And the elephant in the room is that this is all, backed up by Mossad. And it was let slide by the United States alphabet agencies. Because why? Because it was going to feed the for-profit prison system with the gangster rap lifestyle. Like, I honestly, it does seem like the kind of thing historically the CIA would have done. How did Diddy by himself learn how to, create a black, male scheme of mass surveillance, right? Clearly he had some assistance. And then there's just too many like weird coincidences, like the guy getting the LAPD to leave and calling it a drive-by when very clear, obviously the guy was shot in Diddy's house. You know what I mean? None of us are just getting the cops. Oh, sorry, it was a drive-by. Oh, okay, sorry, Mr. Combs. Here's your gun back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to happen, right? And then on top of that, you have to imagine that there's drug smuggling. You have to imagine that there was a lot of rape, a lot of human sex trafficking, a lot of underage drugging of people, right? We were talking about this at work the other day. There's what's that guy? What's that bar? where it's like Molly in her champagne glass, she ain't even know. And it's like, oh, man, you know what I mean? So anyway, it's coming out. It's revealing.
Yeah. So Candace Owens goes on to kind of, paint this theory. Destiny is not very amused, as you guys know if you watch Destiny. He's like the least conspiratorial person on the planet. Like even when you're talking about an obvious conspiracy theory like Epstein or something, he has that very liberal instinct to just be like, I'm the most serious person in the room, and I don't believe it. If it wasn't printed on the pages of the New York Times, then that must just be a cockamamie conspiracy theory. Or that's kind of the vibe that I get from Destiny. That was definitely the energy that he brought to this conversation, not really even engaging with any of what Candace was talking about. And obviously, I disagree with Candace on almost everything. But I do think it was kind of annoying of Destiny to just completely refuse to engage in what she was talking about, not just with Diddy, but also with Epstein, as we're about to see in a second. But let's take a few more minutes of this in before we switch on over to the Epstein part.
News then reported that the shooting happened outside and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call the security guy was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. So it's now reopened, all the Michael Jackson stuff. Super interesting. A lot of stuff that I would say, a lot of proof presented in these documents. Like I said, there's a lot of photos included. And if what he is spelling out is correct, then it's basically a homosexual ring that works by blackmail. They host these what he calls freak offs, and they drug people and they get them to sleep with a minor or do something that you wouldn't want publicized, and then they own you, right? Because it's like, well, we have you on camera doing this, and so you're going to say or do whatever I want. So very much like the Jeffrey.
What is so fucking annoying about Candace Owens, though, guys, is that she's talking about something legit, but she makes it sound so impossibly conspiratorial that she can't win Destiny over. What she needs to do is she needs to go back through, like we did, the Fahim Muhammad. Okay, so you graduated from Sacramento State University with a degree in business administration, right? And then a year later, you're the head of the security for Michael Jackson. Like, no, that's not a real through line. And then what were you doing up between that point? Like, what other special skills do you have? Nothing that's listed on your LinkedIn page, nothing that you're advertising. So where did you get that security training? Where did you get all of that knowledge? Where did you get these connections? And it will 100% reveal to you like deep state intelligence connections. And what's crazy is that there's such an instinct by people like Destiny to pretend like that's crazy, like the intelligence agencies don't do things like this, when in reality it's all they fucking do all the time. They'll be like, well, in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s they did that, but now when it's our time, they're not doing that. And I'm like, no, dude, they're still doing that. And also, this was the 90s when this began. So when she sets it up and she's all like, it's a cabal sex ring, they're making you do homosexual acts and filming it, it's like, what he's doing is he's bringing you into his house. He's gassing you up. You're hanging with the billionaire. You're feeling fly. He's like, this is the life, bro. This is the life. And then he'll coach you into doing shit that you should not fucking do. This is master manipulator shit that he's up to. He knows he's filming all of this shit. So he's going to be like, no, why don't you go with this girl? Why don't you give her some of this? Oh, pass that champagne to her. Now you're implicated in drugging this woman, right? You're with a minor. You know what I mean? You're like, there's the, like, it's wrong, but they would create the pressure for you to like not be a pussy and go fuck that chick. Like, what, you're a little bitch, you're not gonna go fuck that pussy that's in there? Like, you guys have to understand this. I'm not kidding, Gavin, you could laugh it off, but that is the fucking that's the mentality, especially from
funny.
if you like look at the 90s, right? Like, I mean, the gangster rap at that time, that was hard shit. Like, go back and listen to, like, not you, Gavin, but like people in the chat, go back and listen to like Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous by Big L. Go back and listen to that first Mobb Deep record. Like, these guys were not fucking around. It was hella homophobic. The F slur reigned like fucking like monsoon season. And so that's all going on, and then that's how you get these guys, right? So it's like, oh yeah, you keep doing it, but you're under my spell now. You're with us now because I've got you by the fucking balls, both in a contract, both in by my power. I'll ruin you, and I'm connected all the way up. That's how these guys get away with this shit, man. That's how you can get away with this shit. And the boot is going to drop for Diddy, though, because they will eventually throw him under the fucking bus and do away with him. And then he might accidentally have a tragedy in jail one day if he ever gets there.
Yeah. The one element of this that I am interested in your opinion on, Zach, because admittedly I haven't been following it as closely as you, is the Michael Jackson thing. Like, do you actually think that Michael Jackson was murdered by this guy, do you think there was like serious foul play involved that might come out at some point in the near future?
I mean, I think that if you are asking me if there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, at least that Michael Jackson would have been involved in a human sex trafficking ring that involved children and, homosexual behavior and drugs and, whatever, and that it might have been easier. Like, I'm not saying that they killed Michael Jackson, but I'm like, why was that guy there? Right. So that's enough. You don't even need to speculate further. You're like, how did this guy go from being, 1 year out of college to being the head of security for this guy who has all these connections, who then gets hooked up on the opposite coast with Diddy, you know what I mean, doing his security and then going back to LA and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot of weird sus shit. And then the 100 acres along the border of fucking California and Mexico. There's some stuff going on. So did the guy kill Michael Jackson? I don't have any evidence to show that. But is there a lot of evidence to show that, I mean, there may have been like a blackmail ring going on? Yeah, that I think is for real.
Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, but that's fucking crazy, bro. If true, I hope this stuff actually comes out. That's my only worry, is that much like the Epstein stuff, it's just kind of like, oh, who knows, and we never get definitive answers. I mean, obviously we have definitive answers on Epstein, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just hope we actually get some real solid uh truth here. But speaking of Epstein, let's look at this because, to Destiny's credit, I understand if you're being hit with all of this Diddy information and you're not really aware of the details, it might sound a bit outlandish. It's like, what, you're telling me all these like rappers have this blackmail ring and Michael Jackson? Like, what are you talking about? This sounds crazy, right? But Epstein died in 2019, and his scandal has obviously been incredibly high profile for some years now. So I did find it shocking that Destiny is still trying to take this like high road or whatever on Epstein and pretending like, oh, what are you talking about? Like Epstein, there's no proof that anything sus was going on there. As you're about to see, he gets totally destroyed by Candace here, who's just making, factual points about the Epstein case and how he got all his money in the first place. So let's take a look here. A lot of people were roasting Destiny for this.
Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What's suggesting?
Like what part of the
involvement?
Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my God, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his,
and not just that, he was literally friends with like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, some of the most high level American executives in modern American history. Like, you think that might clue you in, Destiny?
Flying around with the Kennedys. Hey.
Right.
his home, he had his face and about, what was it, 6 different passports? Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at it,
who can issue you a different identity?
I don't know about different identities, but for passports, I imagine you can get that illegally, or you can just get it from countries depending on citizenship status.
Well,
but what I'm saying is that, like, for when we look at Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not.
No.
Yeah, see, that's not what he did. He got given a shitload of money in a house and blackmail scheme. This is why, like, people like Destiny, they just don't want anything interesting to happen in our world. They don't want to believe that anything outside of the normal could happen because it just fucks with their white picket fence ideology. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, I'm just a total liberal. Like, I just, clean streets and fucking. And when you realize that, hey, dude, I'm sorry that you want to live in like blue velvet, but the reality is that it's the dark half of that and not the, Bobby Vintone or whatever intro music. It is it's so obvious that there, at least with Epstein, like, you can't even fucking deny it. Like, how about the fact that he got whacked in jail and there's no footage of it? For some reason the cameras went out. Like, you have to be wanting to deceive yourself. It's the same people that think that Oswald acted alone and killed Kennedy from the fucking book depository, right? It's like, dude, even if you think that he was involved, which, like, we don't have time to get into the real, like, fucking Kennedy stuff. Like, you have to be an absolute dumbass to buy the magic bullet theory. You have to be absolute, like, you want to be spoon-fed propaganda and swallow that shit because it is absolutely untrue. It's just untrue. And anybody who looks at it with like an ounce of scrutiny will be like, yeah, this seems sus to me. How does that happen? Nobody can replicate the shot? No, he wasn't even that good of a fucking, he didn't have that much experience. Nope. Yeah, I'm sorry, but if like the fucking special forces guy that is really trying to make that, he's trying to miss for obvious reasons to make you guys. The magic bullet theory is fucking nuts. So anyway, denying Epstein was connected at all to any alphabet agency. Like, we'll wait for more stuff to come out about Diddy. I'm for sure that it will, if we have access to any more information. But with Epstein, it's like it's an open and shut case. Like, the reality is that what's that guy's name? The dude he lives in like Ohio. He's like the richest man in Ohio, and he like made a bunch of money from Victoria's Secret. What's that guy's name? And he's like a lot of people think that he's a pedophile.
The guy that like financed Epstein's operation.
Yeah. Let's
God,
see.
what was that guy's name? We're at this again, trying to find who that guy's name is or what that guy's name is. Fuck. That's gonna piss me off. Lex Wessner.
Lex Wessner. Yeah. Anyway, that guy. So anyway, that guy definitely also most likely has connections to the alphabet agencies.
Or his brother
yeah, but there's like a million different.
dollars.
Sure, there's lots of people where I don't know how they made their money, but to fill in the gaps of all of this with some.
No, you should always
huge
know how
conspiracy.
somebody became a billionaire. Like, that's like a very easy thing. Like, somebody should just be like, I became a billionaire, and you have no idea how. Like,
I'm
like,
sure there are tons of people
it's
who are
like I
billionaires that
sold the
aren't.
product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots on how this person became a billionaire that was able
The
to purchase
filings
an
aren't
island.
always going to be public. That like, oh well, I can figure out exactly why this person became a billionaire. If they don't work in like public traded companies or something, how will you ever know? There's no way you're going to know that.
He did.
Then what's the question?
That's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
So he wouldn't have made.
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
No, I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you because it seems like you're just like whatever your position is. I'm going to take the opposite, and I'm going to say something really quickly and try to say, well, how do we know? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like that's actually quite boring.
Imagine getting eaten up by Candace fucking Owens on your podcast, bro.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. And I mean, as much as I despise Candace Owens, I do relate to this point that she's making when it comes to Destiny. And she does this all the time with not just, he does this all the time, not just with people on the right, but with pretty much anyone who disagrees with him. Like, it doesn't seem like he has much intellectual curiosity about actually understanding the argument you're making. And to be honest, if you're going to invite someone like Candace Owens on your show, some right winger like Candace Owens, then like you should have some level of intellectual sincerity when it comes to having this discussion, especially if you're as unprepared as Destiny seemingly is here to actually debate the specifics of something like Jeffrey Epstein, because now it just comes off like he's being skeptical for no reason. Like he's just being skeptical of what she's saying just because he's like the more serious person. Like I said, just because it wasn't printed on the fucking front pages of the New York Times, he doesn't believe it. Even though she's actually making 100% sense here and making good points, one of the few times that's ever happened, to be fair. But that is what's happening here. You know, most normal people will agree with Candace Owens when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, especially if you've looked into it at all, like even a little bit. You could literally read the Wikipedia article and be like, wow, there's some crazy shit going on here. But Destiny just
Wikipedia. Did you know that slandered Max Blumenthal and is therefore no longer a useful tool in any capacity?
Right. God. Anyway. I think that Candace Owens is totally right about Destiny here. And again, it's unfortunate because if he had been better prepared to argue with her about some of the more nefarious stuff she starts talking about later, I think that would have come off better to people listening if he hadn't kind of sabotaged his own credibility with moments like this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, like, let's actually have a real conversation because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right?
Mhm.
People are for the first time able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense. It makes sense that there is a blackmail ring operating in DC because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians.
Why is it in DC now?
And then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people.
This is where Candace loses me. She'll just start saying shit, and I'm like, actually, no. Like, we don't have proof for that. Like, let's just talk about like I get it. Like, she's way more on the money than Destiny here, but I feel like sometimes she moves the ball. Like, she went Pizzagate with this immediately, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? It's not Pizzagate. Okay, what we have.
That's the problem. Destiny was unprepared, and now she just gets to spin her theories into whatever, which is like a lot of anti-Semitic garbage and stuff about how the black community is being poisoned by fucking Cardi B or, you know, stupid shit like that they get into later. But yeah, I think he really sabotaged his arguments by being so unprepared to just debate her on the, you know, basics.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because it's like, dude, you don't have to just pretend that this shit isn't real. Like you know, and I thought that she spanked him when she said, "Are you just like tremendously like not intellectually curious, or like are you just trying to be obtuse?" Basically, is what she said. That's paraphrasing, but it's true. It's like that's his thing. He's just 100% contrarian asshole, and he doesn't want any new information presented to him. Oh, like whatever the most likely. What's that phrase for when it's whatever the most likely outcome or
Occam's razor.
Occam's razor, exactly.
Yeah, totally. Here's one more clip that we can end on. This was interesting. Promoting degeneracy.
You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do
I do?
Like if you were 20
Well, let's
and
say
you were
I'm a
saying this
millionaire.
stuff,
I travel the world. I get to research and talk about whatever I want. I get to talk to cool people like you and other people. I live in Miami in a high rise for 5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean,
but I'm saying like, what are you doing when you're trying to
Can we pause it?
that?
This is the emptiness that being a liberal will provide for you. What are you doing with your life? Me and my possessions. That's what he said. I have possessions and I have wealth. Wow, that's super enriching.
You know, being a hoe is cool. Smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
Would I try? Because
you're 35-year-old man, right? Like, you know, and you're kind of doing the like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like I said, if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, you know, say things with.
It's funny too how she's kind of like towering over him in this clip. Like just her posture is so much
alpha.
Like, yeah.
Conviction. Say things that have
plenty
meaning.
Of things with conviction. Yes.
You know, and
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is I'm gonna be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. Okay. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old, like when I'm on the whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man,
can we pause it?
What do you think I'm selling?
You can tell that she spends a lot of time around tech people and like the people who are like achievement obsessed because she has a real complex around her age. She brought up 35 like 100 times within and I'm like, oh, you're clearly thinking about this. You could run for president now. It's hitting you that you're a grown up and you're like, you know, feeling some kind of way about yourself. This is where she starts to lose because it's like, okay, dude, what are you hiding? What are you like so insecure about in your own age? Like 30 is the new 20, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? Like go look at a picture of somebody from 1955 that was 30. They look like they're 50 years old.
Totally. Yeah. And this is the part of the conversation where Candace really lost me too, because she's trying to paint Destiny as like some degenerate, like fucking stoner who's just recommending his fans go to OnlyFans to make money and stuff like that. Complete bullshit. Destiny's like, he doesn't really have that vibe to me. He doesn't just come on here and like hit the bong and, you know, talk about like degenerate stuff. Like actually Destiny is pretty focused. He's pretty productive. He spends most of his time having intellectual discussions. I don't really get this whole like college dorm pot smoker vibe from Destiny. So I think she's kind of painting him in an inaccurate light. The reason why she's doing that is because he was pushing back on Candace for basically shaming all these OnlyFans girls on a podcast. And Candace was really condescending them, like she mentioned, saying that she was going to pray for them and that, oh, in 10 years, honey, you'll realize that, you know, this life of degeneracy isn't as fulfilling as having a family and making babies for your husband and like all this stupid bullshit trad wife stuff where it's like, yeah, no one needs your moralizing. No one needs you to tell them that sex work is an illegitimate profession or whatever. It's so tired. It's such bullshit. And again, Destiny doesn't spend his time like recommending people go to OnlyFans. It just in that context, he was defending the OnlyFans models that Candace Owens was being super condescending to and basically shaming for their profession, which I think is a totally normal and adult position. It's a pro-freedom position. And that's one instance that I actually totally agree with Destiny, like he does have a pretty pro freedom mindset when it comes to things like OnlyFans, or like he was defending Seth Rogen when Seth Rogen recently mentioned how his wife and him, they don't have kids and they don't want to have kids because they like just waking up and smoking pot and hanging out together watching TV, and that's not something they could do with kids. And Destiny was like, yeah, that's totally reasonable. That's awesome. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. You shouldn't have to have kids. And of course, that's a problem if you're Candace Owens. So I totally agree with Destiny here.
Totally. L for Candace.
Yeah. Let's just finish up this clip before we get out of here.
And you know better. Okay.
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well,
do
like
I
I said,
people to be a hoe?
what I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a
You
hoe.
did. You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they essentially, you can do something better. You don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So just like kind of
I don't tell people that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, you know, it is whatever. And it's just like whatever. You're just
you think that heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am. Quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, 20 men per night. Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul.
Yeah, and obviously that's like the extreme example. Like very few people are going to tell you, yeah, it's a great way to live. Just go get fucked by 20 dudes a night. That'll really fulfill you. Like obviously most people are going to be like, that's probably not the most healthy lifestyle. But at the same time, that's an extreme example. Most people that are sex workers or OnlyFans models or whatever are not having sex with 20 different men a night. Like that's just cartoonish.
Yeah.
What if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. No, she does.
No, what do you mean? She's telling you, she was very honest, actually. And that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her, it is just about money. Okay. But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as when you see somebody who says that, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. Like, it's like, no, you actually like structure. You need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're
35-year-old. How old's Destiny again?
Do you think?
Yeah, she's so hung up on the 35-year-old man. I'm like, chill.
Like, bro, it's all right. Age is just a number.